morning, my dear students. In the last class, already we have studied about the structure of female reproductive system and the structure of female sex cell. Female sex cell means the egg or ovum. So, in the last class, we studied about these two question answers. Very important 5-mark question, and already I told you the diagram, structure of human egg diagram is very important 2-mark questions also. Okay, dear students. Today we are going to study about 3 more important 5-mark questions. Okay, so listen the class very carefully. I hope you all studied the previous class question answers. Everyday study. Today we are going to study about 3 more 5-mark questions. So listen. The first question is menstrual cycle. Say, menstrual cycle means it is one of the important character of the female reproductive system. Here menstrual cycle meaning so many cyclic changes takes place inside the female reproductive system once in 28 or 29 days. So once in 28 or 29 days there are many changes takes place inside the female reproductive system, and these changes are called menstrual cycle. And you should understand one important matter. This menstrual cycle will not occur when that particular female is in pregnant condition. Okay, so during the time of pregnancy, this menstrual cycle will not take place inside the female reproductive system, and this menstrual cycle is otherwise called ovarian cycle. This menstrual cycle is start after reaching puberty, and this ovarian cycle or this menstrual cycle is stop at the time of menopause. Here menopause meaning after reaching 45-50 years, the female reproductive system's function is slowly reducing. Maximum functions of the female reproductive system is lost. So this time, after reaching 45 or 50 years, the females cannot produce the young ones. Okay, so this period, this stage is called menopause. So this menstrual cycle, otherwise called ovarian cycle, this menstrual cycle is start after reaching puberty, and it is completed, or at the end of this menstrual cycle is after reaching the menopause stage. Okay, then already I told you this menstrual cycle will not take place in the body of the pregnant female. Okay, so absence of pregnancy is the indicator. Absence of menstrual cycle is the indicator of pregnancy. Okay, and you should remember one important point. This menstrual cycle also will not take place inside the female reproductive system because of some reasons. Okay, the reasons may be overstress, hormonal disorders, or maybe due to some diseases like anemia. So if any female is affected with hormonal disorders or anemia disease or overstress, the menstrual cycle will not take place regularly. Understand? I hope you all understand these points. So the definition of the word menstrual cycle is the cyclic changes takes place inside the female reproductive system once in 28 or 29 days. Understand? And this menstrual cycle is started after reaching puberty, and the end of this menstrual cycle is at the time of menopause. Understand? Okay, now we are going to study about this menstrual cycle in detail. Okay, listen. This menstrual cycle takes place in 4 phases or in 4 stages. The first stage is called menstrual phase, second one is called follicular phase, third one is called ovulatory phase, and the last one is called luteal or secretory phase. Luteal or secretory phase. So now I explain all these phases one by one. Listen very carefully, very important 5-mark question. Okay, the first one is menstrual phase. So already I told you these cyclic changes takes place once in 28 or 29 days. So the first 1 to 3 days or 1 to 5 days are called menstrual phase. Okay, first 1 to 3 days or 1 to 5 days are called menstrual phase. So during this time, 2 changes takes place inside the female reproductive system. The first stage is the progesterone and estrogen. These two are the important female sex hormones. These two hormones level is reduced in the body of the female. Understand? So the amount of progesterone and estrogen, these two hormones amount is totally reduced in the female body. Understand? So because of the less production of this progesterone and estrogen hormone, some flow or liquid-like substances are released from the female reproductive system. It is called menstrual flow. And already I told you, inside the uterus, the wall of the uterus is made up of 3 layers. In the last class I told you. Okay, the inner layer, so just imagine it's the uterus. So the inner layer of this uterus is called endometrium. So during this phase, during this menstrual phase, the wall of this endometrium is completely break down, and the blood vessels which are present in this region also break down. So the endometrium wall is break down, blood vessels which are present inside the endometrium also break down. So because of this reason, some fluid-like substances are released from the uterus. So this is called menstrual flow. So there are two changes take place during this menstrual phase. One is the decline in progesterone and estrogen. That means progesterone hormone and the estrogen hormone, both the hormones level is reduced in the blood. Second one is because of the less production of these two hormones, menstrual flow takes place. The reason for this menstrual flow is breakdown of the endometrium wall and the breakdown of the blood vessels present in the endometrium layer. Understand? So that's all about this menstrual phase, first phase. Then the second phase, follicular phase. This phase takes place between the 5th to 13th day. So during the 5th to 13th, this period is called follicular phase. Understand? So during these times also some changes takes place inside the female reproductive system. First change is more amount of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormones are produced inside the female body. So the amount of FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, both hormones level is increased in the blood. Understand? So because of the increased level of these two hormones, the primary follicles which are present inside the ovary is developing, is growing, and it is converted into mature Graafian follicles. Listen very carefully. This is the structure of ovary. Already in the last class we have studied. Here this center region is called ovarian stroma. The ovarian stroma is divided into two regions. Outer region is called cortex, inner region is called medulla. In the last class I told you, I explained. So this cortex region consists of many different sized follicles. So these are the primary follicle, then secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, then mature Graafian follicles. Like that, the follicles are growing in its size. So during this follicular phase, the primary follicles which are present inside the ovary is growing, and finally it is reaching the mature Graafian follicle. So just imagine it's a mature Graafian follicle. Understand? So this is the changes takes place inside the ovary. At the same time, inside the uterus also one change takes place. The change is regeneration of endometrium. In the first phase, in the menstrual phase, already the wall of the endometrium and the blood vessels present in the endometrium, everything are broken. Okay, already told you breakdown. But here during this stage, between this 5th to 13th days, this wall of the endometrium is again formed. So regeneration of the endometrium. This changes takes place inside the uterus. So during the follicular phase, one change takes place inside the ovary and another one change takes place inside the uterus. What is the changes takes place inside the ovary? The small Graafian follicles are increasing in its size. Finally, it is converted into mature Graafian follicle. This is the changes takes place inside the ovary. And during this phase, simultaneously, at the same time, inside the uterus also, the endometrium is regenerating. So these two are the important changes takes place inside the ovary and uterus. Then third phase, ovulatory phase. The mid period, okay, the midday of this menstrual cycle is called ovulatory phase. That means that this phase takes place at the day of 14. Understand? So during these times also, two important changes takes place. One is the amount of luteinizing hormone is reaching the peak level meaning high level. So amount of luteinizing hormone is increased. This condition is called LH surge. This is one of the changes during this ovulatory phase. And the second change is ovulation. Here ovulation meaning the process of releasing or removal of egg from the mature Graafian follicle of the ovary is called ovulation. Listen very carefully. So it's a primary follicle, secondary, tertiary, like that many follicles are there. This is the mature follicle, isn't it? So inside the mature follicles only the egg or ovum is there. So during these ovulatory phases, the follicles, the egg or the ovum present inside the mature Graafian follicle is coming outside. So this process is called ovulation. Understand? So ovulation meaning the process of removal of egg from the mature Graafian follicle to outside is called ovulation. So these two are the changes takes place during the ovulatory phase. So LH search means already I told you the high level during this phase, the amount of both follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, both hormones level is increased. But the luteinizing hormones are reaching the peak level, high level. So this stage is called what? This condition is called LH search. And the second stage, ovulation. The process of removal of ovum from the mature Graafian follicle is called ovulation. So these two are the changes takes place during the ovulatory phase. Then next one is the last phase is luteal phase or secretory phase. Understand? Listen very carefully. The last phase is called luteal phase or secretory phase. Now this ovum, the egg which is present inside the Graafian follicle, mature Graafian follicle came outside. Now the remaining part of this Graafian follicle or the empty Graafian follicle is converted into another one tissue. This tissue is called corpus luteum. So corpus luteum is a temporary endocrine gland. Okay, so after the removal of egg or ovum from the mature Graafian follicle, the empty Graafian follicle or the remaining parts of the Graafian follicle is converted into a tissue. This tissue is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum secreting more amount of progesterone hormone. This progesterone hormone is very important for the maintenance of pregnancy. Because this progesterone hormone is preparing the uterus or the endometrium region of the uterus to receive the fertilized egg. So that process is called implantation. The attachment or fixing of this fertilized egg inside the uterus wall is called implantation. For the successful implantation process, the progesterone hormone, we need more amount of progesterone hormone. So this progesterone hormone is secreted by the corpus luteum. So once again repeat this point, listen very carefully. After the removal of egg from the mature Graafian follicle, the mature Graafian follicle, the empty mature Graafian follicle is converted into a temporary endocrine gland. It is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum secreting more amount of progesterone hormone. This progesterone hormone only preparing the uterus to receive the fertilized egg for the implantation part. That process is called implantation. Next, say if fertilization is not takes place, this corpus luteum is regenerate and it is formed into another one scar tissue. This is called corpus albicans. This is called a corpus albicans. So after the removal of egg, the egg should come to this oviduct, fallopian tube for fertilization purpose. Okay. So if fertilization is not takes place, this corpus luteum is converted into a scar tissue. This is called corpus albicans. So this corpus albicans is formed inside the ovary when the fertilization is not takes place. And one more important point about this luteal phase is this phase is always called secretory phase because during this time the wall of the uterus secreting a nutritious fluid, fluid-like substance. This fluid-like substance consists of more amount of nutrients. These nutrients only given to the developing baby. When the baby is developing inside the uterus, the baby are receiving the nutrients from the fluid secreted by the wall of the endometrium. So that only this region, this phase is always called secretory phase. Understand my dear students? So once again repeat all the four stages. First phase is called menstrual phase. During this phase, the amount of progesterone and estrogen hormone is reduced. So because of this reason, the wall of the endometrium and the blood vessels which are present inside the endometrium is break down. So a fluid like substance is released from the uterus. This is called menstrual flow. The second one is follicular phase, 5th to 13th days. During this time, the amount of FSH and LH, these two hormones amount is increased. Because of the increased production of these two hormones, the primary follicles which are present inside the ovary is growing in its size, and finally it is converted into mature Graafian follicle. At the same time, simultaneously, the uterus endometrium also regenerating meaning again forming. Then next, third phase, ovulatory phase, 14th day. This phase takes place in the 14th day, and during this time the amount of both follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, both hormones amount is increased. Understand? So here when the amount of luteinizing hormone is increased, that condition is called LH surge. And during this phase only the ovulation process also takes place. Here ovulation meaning the process of removal of matured ovum or egg from the Graafian follicle is called ovulation. Then the next one, the last phase, is called luteal phase, otherwise called secretory phase. During this time, the empty Graafian follicle or the remaining part of the Graafian follicle is converted into another one temporary endocrine gland. It is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum producing more amount of progesterone hormone. This progesterone hormone only giving the way for the implantation of fertilized egg, for the fixation of fertilized egg inside the uterus. Understand? And if fertilization is not takes place, this corpus luteum is again converted into a scar tissue. It is called corpus albicans. And during this phase, a fluid also secreted inside the uterus. This is a highly nutritious fluid, and this fluid giving more amount of nutrients to the developing fetus or developing baby. Understand, my dear friends? So now I hope you all understood this menstrual cycle. It's a very small question only, and it's a very important 5-mark question. Then the next question is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis meaning the process of formation of gamete is called gametogenesis. You all know male gamete is called sperm or spermatozoa, female gamete is called egg or ovum. So the process of production of or the process of formation of both male gamete and female gamete is called gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. So it's a 2-mark question. Gametogenesis meaning the process of formation of male and female gamete inside the reproductive system is called gametogenesis. You all know gamete to gamete. Male gamete is called sperm and the female gamete is called ovum or egg. So now I am going to explain about the process of formation of sperm. So the process of formation of sperm is called spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. So the process of formation of sperm inside the testis of the male reproductive system is called spermatogenesis. Understand? So by using a chart, I explain this spermatogenesis process. So listen very carefully. It's also a very important 5-mark question. So spermatogenesis meaning the process of formation of sperm inside the seminiferous tubule of the testis. Already we have studied the structure of female reproductive system. Okay, so seminiferous, many small tube-like structures are present inside the testis. This is called a seminiferous tubule. So seminiferous tubule only act as a protection for site of the sperm. So inside this seminiferous tubule only the sperm is produced. Okay, so here spermatogenesis meaning the process of formation of sperm inside the seminiferous tubule of the testis is called spermatogenesis. See, listen. First step in this spermatogenesis process, a special type of germ cells called primordial germ cells. These primordial germ cells are enter inside the testis. Enter inside the testis. When a male baby is developing inside the uterus of the mother, some primordial germ cells present in the body of the male baby is entering inside the testis. Now, after entering inside the testis, these primordial germ cells are converted into sperm mother cell, otherwise called spermatogonia. Listen very carefully. When a male baby is developing inside the uterus of the mother, some primordial germ cells are entering inside the testis of the male baby, and finally it is converted into primordial spermatogonia or sperm mother cell. The spermatogonia or sperm mother cell is in diploid condition. Diploid condition meaning totally 46 chromosomes are present inside the sperm mother cell or spermatogonia. Now the spermatogonia or the sperm mother cell involved in the mitotic cell division. And finally it is converted into primary spermatocyte. The spermatogonia cell is converted into primary spermatocyte because of this mitotic cell division. So this cell is entered or involved in the mitotic cell division and producing primary spermatocyte. Understand? Then this primary spermatocyte also in diploid condition, 46 chromosomes are there. Now this primary spermatocyte involved in the first meiosis cell division. And produce two haploid secondary spermatocyte. So this is one secondary spermatocyte, this is the second secondary spermatocyte. So from a single diploid primary spermatocyte, two haploid secondary spermatocytes are formed now. Understand? Now both secondary spermatocytes are involved in the second meiosis cell division and finally produce four haploid spermatids. So this cell produce two haploid spermatids, this cell produce two haploid spermatids. Understand? So all these spermatids are converted into sperm or spermatozoa. Here the primary spermatocyte is these spermatids, all these four spermatids are converted into sperms, mature sperm or mature spermatozoa by a process. This process name is called spermiogenesis. This process is called spermiogenesis. After the production of these sperm, all these sperms are entering inside the center region of the seminiferous tubule by a process. It is called spermiation. So here now I said two more questions also. The process of conversion of spermatids into sperm is called spermatogenesis or spermiogenesis. Then the process of entering the sperm inside the seminiferous tubule is called spermiation. Understand, my dear students? So once again repeat. When a male baby is developing inside the uterus of the mother, some primordial germ cells are enter inside the testis of the male baby and finally it is converted into spermatogonia or sperm mother cell. The sperm mother cell or spermatogonia is in diploid condition. That means 46 chromosomes are there. Understand? Now, these spermatogonia cells involved in the mitotic cell division and the spermatogonia is now converted into primary spermatocyte. The primary spermatocyte also in diploid condition, 46 chromosomes are there. Now, these primary spermatocyte involved the first meiosis cell division finally produce two haploid secondary spermatocyte. Then, both the secondary spermatocyte, haploid spermatocytes are again involved in the second meiosis division. Finally, they produce four haploid spermatids. Four haploid spermatids. Now, with the help of one process called spermiogenesis. With the help of this spermiogenesis process, all these four spermatids are converted into a mature sperm. Then these sperms are entering inside the seminiferous tubule by a process is called spermiation. Understand, my dear students? I hope you all understand these steps involved in the spermatogenesis. Then, one more point. Some hormones playing a very important role in the spermatogenesis process. There are three hormones are involved in the spermatogenesis process. The major hormone is called human gonadotrophin hormone, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Maximum this hormone is secreted by the hypothalamus region of the brain. Okay, so the hypothalamus region of the brain secreting a hormone called gonadotrophin releasing hormone. This hormone reach the pituitary gland through the blood. So brain, the hypothalamus region releasing this hormone inside the blood. The blood sending this hormone to the pituitary gland. You all know pituitary gland is the master gland of our body. It has two regions, anterior region and posterior region. Already in the 11th standard you have studied. So anterior region is called adenohypophysis, posterior region is called neurohypophysis. So after reaching this pituitary gland, immediately the pituitary gland secretes two more hormones. One is follicle stimulating hormone and the second one is called luteinizing hormone. So just imagine. The first hormone name is called this hormone. Okay, so gonadotrophic releasing hormone. This hormone is secreted by the brain. Okay, hypothalamus region of the brain. Then this hormone is coming to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Okay, anterior region of the pituitary gland. Immediately this pituitary gland secreting more amount of FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Understand? This follicle stimulating hormone performing two important functions. One, the first major function is this hormone only responsible for the growth of testes. So testis growth is the first major function of the follicle stimulating hormone. And the second second function of this follicle stimulating hormone is this hormone only producing this hormone act on the sertolic cells of the testis, and immediately the sertolic cell produce one protein. It is called, the name of this protein is called androgen binding protein, ABP. Listen very carefully. Pituitary gland secrete two hormones. One hormone name is called follicle stimulating hormone. The second hormone name is called luteinizing hormone. This follicle stimulating hormone performing two important functions. The first function is what I said. The first function is this hormone only responsible for the growth of testes. And the second function is this hormone act on the sertolic cells of the testes. Immediately sertolic cells are releasing this androgen binding protein. Androgen binding protein. Then function of this luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone act on the Leydig cells of the testes, and immediately the Leydig cells secrete the male sex hormone testosterone. So this androgen binding protein and testosterone both are very, very important for the spermatogenesis process. Once again I repeat these hormones. There are three important hormones are involved in the spermatogenesis process. First hormone is called gonadotrophic releasing hormone. This hormone is secreted by the hypothalamus region of the brain. So the hypothalamus region of the brain releasing this hormone inside the blood. Through the blood, this hormone is entering inside the pituitary gland, anterior region of the pituitary gland. So immediately this anterior region of the pituitary gland secrete two more hormones, FSH and LH. This FSH responsible for the growth of testes, and this FSH only producing the androgen binding protein. And the luteinizing hormone act on the Leydig cells. Immediately Leydig cells producing the male sex hormone testosterone. So testosterone also playing a very important role in the spermatogenesis process. Understand, my dear students? So now I hope you all understood this spermatogenesis process. Okay. Next we are going to study about oogenesis. Okay, oogenesis. Listen very carefully. Oogenesis meaning the process of formation of egg or ovum inside the ovary is called oogenesis. The process of formation of ovum or egg inside the ovary is called oogenesis. Understand? So this oogenesis process also takes place in some steps. So listen very carefully. This is very important 5-mark question, and it is little difficult than the spermatogenesis. Okay, spermatogenesis very easy question. Okay, this question is little difficult. So listen very carefully. See, the first step, some cells present in the germinal epithelium. When a female baby is developing inside the uterus of the mother, some cells present in the germinal epithelium entering inside the ovary of the fetus. Fetus, already I told you, the baby or the small young one developing inside the uterus of the mother. So when a female fetus is developing inside the uterus of the mother, some cells from the germinal epithelium entering inside the ovary, and finally that cells are involved in the mitosis cell division, And finally, these cells are converted into oogonia, otherwise called egg mother cells. These cells are called oogonia or egg mother cell. This oogonia or egg mother cell is in diploid condition. It has 46 chromosomes. And one very important point, no more oogonia formed after the birth of that female baby. So millions of oogonia cells or the egg mother cells are developing when the female baby is growing inside the uterus. Okay, after the birth of the female baby, there will not any production of any water oogonia egg mother cells. Understand? Then, now this oogonia or egg mother cells involved in the prophase 1 of the first meiotic cell division. Meiotic cell division already in the lower classes we have studied. It has many phases, prophase, anaphase, metaphase, telophase, like that many phases are there. So here, this oogonia or the egg mother cell involved in the prophase 1 of the first meiotic division. And finally, this oogonia is converted into primary oocyte. Now listen very carefully. Now after reaching this stage, primary oocyte stage, the cell division is temporarily, all the functions process are temporarily arrested or stopped. All the process are temporarily stopped here. Understand? Now this primary oocyte is covered by a single layer of granulosa cell. Just imagine this red color is a primary oocyte. Okay, so inside the outer surface of the primary oocyte is covered by a single layer of granulosa cells. Now this stage is called primary follicle. This stage is called primary follicle. So inside the primary follicles only the primary oocyte is there. Okay, the development of the primary oocyte is temporarily stopped there, arrested there. Understand? Then one important point, from the birth to puberty, many more number of these primary follicles are destroyed inside the female reproductive system. So after reaching puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles only will be there in the ovary. Once I repeat this point. See, already I told you, no more oogonia cells are formed after birth. Okay, after birth. Then, after birth, so from the birth to puberty, more amount of these primary follicles are destroyed inside the female reproductive system. So, at the end of this process, okay, at the end, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles only will be left in the ovary. Remaining all the primary follicles are destroyed. Understand? Then, next, these primary follicles now covered with many layers of granulosa cells. Here I said the primary oocyte is covered with a single layer of granulosa cells. Now it is called primary follicle. Now this primary follicle is covered with many layers of granulosa cells and a single theca layer. So two layers. This red color, just imagine this green color is the many multi-layer granulosa layer. This violet color is the theca layer. Understand? Now this stage is called secondary follicle. After reaching the secondary follicle, inside the follicle a empty place is there. Fluid filled empty place is there. This is called antrum. This empty place is called antrum. Understand? Now this stage, this secondary follicle is covered by two theca layer, theca externa and theca interna. Here I said many granulosa layer and only one theca layer, but here two theca layers are surrounded. One is called theca externa, the second is called theca interna. Now it is called tertiary follicle. Now this stage is called tertiary follicle. Understand? This tertiary follicle is converted into secondary oocyte. Inside this tertiary follicle, I told you primary oocyte is there. The development is temporarily stopped there. Now this primary oocyte is converted into secondary oocyte. When the follicle reaches the tertiary follicle stage, the primary oocyte which are present inside the follicle is now converted into secondary oocyte. Okay, when the secondary oocyte is formed, immediately one more structure is formed there. This structure name is called first polar body. Understand? Now the secondary oocyte is involved in the second meiotic division. second meiotic division. Finally, it produced one big ovum, haploid ovum, and second polar body. The second polar body also destroyed immediately. Listen very carefully. The last point is tertiary follicles are there. Then the tertiary follicle is inside the tertiary follicle. The primary oocyte is converted into secondary oocyte. Then after the development of the secondary oocyte, immediately one more structure is formed. It is called first polar body. This first polar body is destroyed immediately. Then the second oocyte involves the second meiotic cell division and it is producing a large ovum and second polar body. Now the second polar body also destroyed. Understand? Now this ovum is covered with mature Graafian follicles. Mature Graafian follicles. Understand? So at the end of the oogenesis process, only one haploid ovum only produced. But in spermatogenesis process, already I told you, 4 spermatids are produced. 4 haploid spermatids are sperms, 4 haploid sperms are produced. But in oogenesis, at the end of the oogenesis process, only one ovum only produced. Understand? Then one more important point here, if fertilization is not takes place, if fertilization is not takes place, the second meiotic division will not occur and the egg also destroyed immediately. If the fertilization is takes place, this second meiotic division happening, then this ovum also developed. If the fertilization is not takes place, the second meiotic division will not take place. Understand? So the ovum also rupture or destroyed. So once again I repeat, already I told you it's a very little difficult question than the spermatogenesis. Okay. So oogenesis. Oogenesis meaning the process of formation of egg or ovum inside the ovary is called oogenesis. In this process, first some cells present in the germinal epithelium enter or involved in the mitosis cell division and it is converted into oogonia or egg mother cell. These oogonia or egg mother cells involved in the prophase first of the first meiotic cell division and it is converted into primary oocyte. Primary oocyte. Here one more point is there. I told you, see, no more oogonias are produced or added after birth. Okay, millions of oogonia or egg mother cells are produced when the female baby is developing inside the uterus. After the birth of the female baby, the oogonia or the egg mother cells will not produce. Now this primary oocyte is temporarily stopped their development. Understand? Now this primary oocyte is covered by a single granulosa layer. Now it is called primary follicle. Then more amount of primary follicles are destroyed after birth to puberty. Okay. So during this period, many more number of primary follicles are destroyed. So after puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 eggs only there in the ovary. Understand? Now this primary follicle is converted into, is covered by many granulosa layer and single theca layer. So now this stage is called secondary follicle. Now this inside the secondary follicle, a fluid filled space is developed. It is called antrum. Now two theca layer is covering this stage. One is the theca externa, the second is the theca interna. Now this stage is called tertiary follicle. Understand? Inside the tertiary follicle only, this primary oocyte is converted into second haploid secondary oocyte. So at this time, one more structure is developed. It is called polar body, first polar body. Okay. Then the secondary oocyte involves the second meiotic cell division and produce one large egg and second polar body. Both polar bodies are destroyed immediately. Understand? Then this secondary follicle, the tertiary follicle is converted into mature Graafian follicle. If fertilization is not takes place, the second meiotic division will not occur and the egg also destroyed. Understand? So now we completed 2 important questions. Okay, so, 3 important questions. The first question I said is what? First question is the menstrual cycle. Okay, very small questions. Each phases consist of 2 or 3 points only. You can easily study. Then the next question, spermatogenesis, and the third question is oogenesis. I forgot to say one more point in the spermatogenesis process. See, spermatogenesis process takes 64 days to complete. Okay, so to complete one spermatogenesis process, our reproductive system, male reproductive system, that means the testis need 64 days. Okay, this is one point. Then one more point I forgot to say. See, just to imagine the seminiferous tubule. Okay, seminiferous tubule. So this is one region of the seminiferous, the second region of the seminiferous tubule, the another region of the seminiferous tubule. So in each region of the seminiferous tubule, different staged sperms are there. The sperms development occur in different stages. So just imagine. So in this area, some sperms are forming. That sperm is in 20 days stage. Here 25 days stage. Here 50 days stage. Totally 64 days are needed to complete one spermatogenesis process. Understand? Understand you? So I hope you all studied the previous question answers. Today also we have completed 3 question answers. So study well, then and there, immediately study. Don't waste the time. Okay, I think next class we can complete this chapter. Okay, dear students, thank you.